Good afternoon and welcome to the program today, Technology and Online Reputation, Drive a Perception of Quality, Medical Consumer Marketing. I'm Julie Miller, Editor-in-Chief of Behavioral Healthcare Executive. Today's program is sponsored by Dreamscape Marketing. Thank you to our sponsor and to everyone in our audience for giving us your time and attention today. Before we get started, there's a few details we'd like to review with you. Please use the Q&A area below the slides to submit a question or a technical question at any time. You don't have to wait until the end of the program to submit your question. To download the slide deck, please click on the Resources tab to the right of the presentation window. Finally, you can also join our webinar conversation on Twitter by using the hashtag BHELiveWebinar. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Daniel Kemp, President and CEO of Dreamscape Marketing. Dan has been with the company since its founding in 2005. While at Dreamscape, he has created custom strategies for the effective implementation of internet and search marketing, as well as social and mobile advertising campaigns. He maintains focus on proprietary search engine optimization techniques with return on investment methodologies and metrics. Dan, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today. And now the audience is yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie. Appreciate it. So welcome, everyone. There are actually a lot of you registered today. I know you can't see each other, but I feel like I'm speaking to a large room. So today's talk is on technology and online reputation, two separate topics, and how they control consumer perception in medical marketing. So let me kind of take you through the trends. My joke on this cover slide here is that this presentation has received 12 Google reviews, and it's a 5-star presentation, and I bet you believe that. So we'll see if you agree at the end. Let's see. So, excuse me, I always like to ask Google a question, right? That's what most of us do when we have one, when we're beginning our research for anything. So the question for today is, Google, how do consumers perceive my rehab center's technology and reputation? We're actually going to get into why that's important, how you can control that. So the agenda for today, let's find out why institutional healthcare brands are so well known and so respected. And I'm talking about the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, some very well-known names. We're going to identify the major trends in technology and in reputation management for the addiction treatment segment, and also healthcare as a whole. Where is all of this headed? Why does it matter? How can you change things to control it? And then specifically diving into tactics. I like to give away as much of our strategy as I can, challenge our listeners on how to use it and deploy it for themselves, and if they ever need help, they give me a phone call. We're going to focus on then tracking and proactively researching additional channels for social and reputation management, new technologies that could pose future benefits, and some specific technologies that are already happening in addiction treatment that you could use to your advantage. And finally, I hope that you're all able to leverage this consumer mentality by the end of today in your program's technology itself, in tracking viable outcomes data to share in your marketing. And the goal here is to drive faster decision-making and higher conversions among your potential patients. So Julie, let you all know who I am. I am Dan Kemp. I own Dreamscape Marketing. A lot of you know me as a web and internet geek, but believe it or not, I am a marketing geek. It's much more encompassing than just the web technology. I have to follow entire industry trends and sector trends to make sure that our clients and partners are staying ahead of the curve. So today is going to be a combination of digital tactics and general marketing tactics that we've been developing over the last several years. So to begin, the general concept here, right? Captain Hindsight to the rescue. Captain Hindsight is asking, well, gee, would you look at that EEG neurotransmitter biofeedback system? I should get one. Hashtag high-tech rehab. What we find all too often in healthcare is that when you have that great idea, it's because a competitor has already done it. When you see that shiny new machine, a competitor has already had it. And so in all of healthcare, you'll see this at the highest levels, adoption of technology, innovation, buzzwords, keywords, catchphrases, those drive the bulk of the marketing initiatives for pharmaceuticals, for university research studies, and then for service providers themselves. If you didn't buy that shiny new MRI machine, you're behind the times. So the goal today is to avoid being Captain Hindsight and to actually be the innovators in the space where you're leveraging new technology in your marketing. So we're going to start the trend off with the larger healthcare sector, right? Why are these gigantic institutional healthcare brands so well known? Many of us have never even had to interact with these brands, but we all know them, and their public perception is extremely high value. It is assumed you get excellent care. So I'll just name some, and I would imagine that all of you have heard of all of these. Johns Hopkins, the Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, UCLA Medical System, Mount Sinai in New York. And the question is, why have you heard of these? Why is it that you're aware of these healthcare brands specifically? And if you think about it, a lot of patients do not make it out of these treatment programs, these facilities alive. Why are these brands all loved? Why aren't they getting horrible Google reviews and social media and reputation problems? You know, if grandma goes to the Mayo Clinic and is dying of cancer and does not survive, why don't you see thousands of one-star reviews saying, my grandma died here, don't send your grandma here? And I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into the specifics of why. It has to do with controlling the consumer's perception. Risks, setting expectations, applying probability and outcomes data to your marketing. And that's what these systems are doing. That's what these brands are doing. They're publishing their outcomes data. They're running their own research studies. They are pursuing third-party verification of their statistics. So when grandma goes to the Mayo Clinic, for example, your family has already been educated on the probability of her survival based on certain technologies and certain medications and techniques being used. There's an added perception of quality care when there's advanced technology brought to the table. So investing in this technology to have the latest and greatest in mobile MRI machines compared to the gigantic old school tube that you're rolling in on a tray, it is perceived as futuristic, as increased quality. It's HD TV compared to old TV. And that perceived application of technology makes most Americans believe that they're going to have that level of technology applied to their own care. In simplicity, though, it's just fancy machinery. So these hospitals have better widgets, better gizmos, whatever those little machines that are beeping next to your bedside. Whatever they do, they sure sound high-tech. And so you pair that, these shiny, fancy, futuristic machines and treatment methods with high-end medical credentials, right? How many doctors and published physicians and specialists must Hopkins have in its system of care? So this is an investment in staff, in personnel, and those credentials paired with advanced technology truly show the consumer that they have the best chances of receiving quality care in these systems. And that's why they're not questioned. That's why there's no review. It wasn't what's going to happen to grandma. You already knew the probability. You knew that she was in good hands. You knew that they were using the best technology and methods. So beyond that, how do these organizations invest in branding, right? Why is their marketing, why are they so well known when a lot of us have never even had to engage any of them for services? And it's because they spend money simply on their names. They brand like crazy, and they do that through research and university affiliations. Lots of press releases. There's a lot of community outreach, and there's, quite frankly, just a lot of investment in awareness. And I don't know that I recommend that for the addiction treatment space, but here's why they've done all these things. In the whole healthcare industry, there's been a comprehensive shift in consumer mentality. Technology matters now, but more importantly, the perception of that technology being applied to your treatment is extremely important to consumers when 10 years ago it was not. 10 years ago, you just wanted to know that you were in good hands and that that doctor was an expert. Now you want to know what tools is that doctor using and why isn't he or she holding an iPad right now while they're talking to me. So your marketing message in the addiction space isn't going to change. It is still going to be focused on alleviating fear, showing comfort, and demonstrating respect, right? But your customer is evolving. If you're at an accredited treatment center, they assume that they're going to get good treatment, just like they would at Johns Hopkins or the Mayo Clinic or any other well-known healthcare brand. Consumers want to know, what else you got, right? What are my probabilities of long-term sobriety if I come to you for treatment? What other information do you have on your programs? What technologies do you deploy that might be unique if I failed in another program? And so I'm going to be sharing some data today from a study that Google did a few years ago. So a lot of these numbers have increased, of over 250 treatment centers. This is one of the only private sector research studies Google has ever done, and they did it in addiction treatment. Participants included CRC Health and some large operators, but Google partnered with Compete.com to track exactly what are consumers clicking on and engaging with and shopping for. So 57% of those consumers were looking for general information, just research and words, right? 34% were looking for new brands. So wait a minute, if they've already heard of a large brand in addiction treatment, why are they still shopping a third of the time? And they're looking for these technologies, and they're looking for reputation from an innovator. 32% were evaluating specific features that often pertains to technology, and I'll show you why in a second. And they're looking for comparison across facilities. American consumers are savvy shoppers. We know to compare facility A to facility B. And only 27% are considering the brands they already know. So here we are saying that's the opposite of that. 73% of consumers are not shopping in addiction treatment for a brand. That is a huge opportunity for all of you, either as marketers or as operators, that the vast majority of your market does not know which facility they're going to go to when they begin engaging with your marketing. How do you capitalize on that opportunity? Where is this trend going that you can stay focused on, right? This first bullet point, 91% of patients just want to make sure that their insurance is accepted. That is something this industry has known for a very long time. Everything in the space has become insurance first, patient second. And that's a flawed mentality in terms of providing quality care, but it is actually a shared mentality on the consumer side. They know they're supposed to have that insurance card handy at the time they call, 91% of the time. 41% of patients, however, are researching for 2 weeks before even scheduling an appointment or having a conversation with admissions reps. That's pretty big, considering nearly half of your target market is actually performing research, and they go to at least 2 treatment center websites before converting. Why is that important? It's important because you need to feature your technology and have strong reputation front and center on your website, in your marketing at all times, where you could be losing up to 41% of your potential business. This next stat I bolded because it's extremely important to our conversation today. 37% of users who booked an appointment, and again, this is all addiction treatment, researched consumer reviews prior to booking. It is also one of the areas where there's the most corruption in addiction treatment. So there is a defensive strategy to be paired with an offensive strategy in obtaining and bolstering your social reviews, customer reviews, especially on third-party sites. The other interesting stat here is that 77% of these consumers were looking for the use of the latest technology. In addiction treatment, what does that mean? It simply means they want to see high-tech tools and methods being deployed in their treatment. And I will give you examples of those so that you can invest in them and seek them out. So this is where the trend has all been going, right? This is what's happening out in the American populace as they shop for addiction treatment. What are users looking for in that treatment center when they're shopping, right? Again, it all begins with healthcare and insurance coverage. The second most important indicator to the American consumer for addiction treatment is reputation of facility. 87% of your customers care about that, second only to their ability to pay you, followed closely by using the latest technology. This is an industry that's heavily fueled by friend and family recommendations, professional partner recommendations, but both of those things matter less than use of the latest technologies and reputation. So that's what we're going to focus on today, is really targeting that side of marketing, keeping your brand strong, keeping your reputation strong, and using the latest tech. So, in terms of how all of this affects addiction treatment, right? We've been talking about these gigantic institutional brands, the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, these legacy brands. Why do people believe? Why do we all believe that the service is actually better there, that you're actually receiving a higher quality of care? The reality is that short of having gone there ourselves and been a patient in that system, we're subject to the same marketing everyone else is, right? Have I heard of them before? Is there brand recognition? Do I know that they're using the latest and greatest in whatever condition I'm struggling with for treatment? Are they demonstrating innovation? Do they publish research studies? Are they a teaching hospital? What else do they have to support long-term recovery for my condition? And then reputation and social reviews. So in our own habits as American consumers, this is how we shop for medical care, right? And if you had a choice to make between going and getting treatment, getting a custom 3D printed cast from some amazing futuristic machine at Johns Hopkins, versus heading down the street to Joe Schmo Urgent Care, probably everyone on this webinar right now would say, I'm going to Hopkins and I'm going to get that futuristic cast put on. But here's what's interesting. The largest trend in shopping in America right now is a massive decrease in brand loyalty. So how do we leverage this for addiction treatment? Having an unknown brand, having a small, dynamically growing service provider. You need to have unique applications of technology. So don't just do the same stuff everyone else is doing because it's the most popular EMR system, right? You need to have something that is a differentiator. You need to have demonstrated outcomes. 60% of the time, you stay sober every time. That kind of information, if you can procure even consistent statistics from your self-reported client base, it allows customers to make decisions saying, okay, I at least know the probability of reaching year one in sobriety if I come to this program. I at least know that there's an 11% AMA walkout rate. So I know that I have an 89% chance of staying the course and getting through the program. That kind of outcomes data, it doesn't need to be super robust. It just needs to be related to how a consumer can expect to get through your treatment program. An increase in comfort for those seeking treatment. This is often confused for luxury. You don't need to be marketing luxury. You need to be communicating that there's comfort here. People are comfortable going to a large brand, just as in hospitality, right, going to Marriott or Hilton, because they know that they'll have a consistent, comfortable experience. You can demonstrate that through your technology and through your social reputation. And the key to all of this, the way to leverage this as a tactical marketing tool, is to proactively manage your reputation and reviews online. You can't wait to get a bad review to start seeking good reviews. It is unacceptable. You will lose the race every time. So online, you need to have your alumni, your professional partners, your employees, all posting reviews about why they work with you, why they like you, what is unique, what is comfortable, what technologies do you have, and they can all be sincere and honest and true, and you'll find that you get a whole lot more good reviews than bad reviews. You also need to be proactive in replying to bad reviews, right? So as a defensive mechanism, if someone leaves a bad review, you have to reply, and instead of trash talking or getting angry, you have to explain, unfortunately, due to the state of this disease, not everyone is able to complete a treatment program like ours. By all means, Joe Schmo who left a bad review, if you'd like to come back into the program, give us a call. So you're showing support of your community, whether the experience was strong or not. Social reputation management. This is actually direct marketing. So we hear our clients talk about this all the time. Oh yeah, shouldn't I do some social? Shouldn't I do some reputation management? And a lot of it's too little too late. And that's a challenge. I think that what you're going to find is you have to view it as a marketing channel with direct outreach that you need to invest in. Procure these reviews monthly. Send out emails, ask your partners, have your outreach reps and your referral partners give their 2 cents from their own Google Plus profile or Facebook profile. And you're going to find that these social reviews are trusted by consumers more and more and more. They know which sites are credible. They know which sites are BS. They know that Yelp is kind of a scam. So this trend that you're going to be able to leverage when everyone else is trusting the big brands in medicine is similar to what's being deployed in technology and consumer lifestyle brands. Tesla is an extremely popular brand in cars. It's the safest car on the road. It's the fastest car on the road. And so far as brand loyalty, huge companies like General Motors and Ford cannot keep up with Tesla, and they're relatively tiny, or relatively young as a brand. Specialty coffee shops. There is an increasing trend in preferences for local, small, independently owned coffee shops over Starbucks, who actually had one of the highest brand loyalty rates of any brand ever. We see a shift in shopping and online e-commerce habits towards sites like Etsy with local craftsmen and local furniture options compared to the big box stores. So think about your own consumer habits. Are you doing these things? Are you simply following the big brand, or are you doing your own research and choosing your own service providers through innovation, technology, and comfort? Specifics, right? Who are we talking to? What am I talking about? I am talking about your social reviews, your Google+, your Facebook, LinkedIn, any of these sites, Yelp, any of these sites that offer reviews, even industry sites that have deployed schema where your rankings show up in Google search results. Rehabs.com has done that very well. Any reviews you get on that site actually show up in Google's own search results because it's related to your brand and your address. So those social reviews are more important than ever, and they have become more important as website ranking indicators than ever. So it helps your SEO to do this strategy. You need to have different requests going out to your alumni than you have going out to your employees. It is beneficial to have all of your employees post social reviews for you, but they shouldn't lie and pretend that they were patients. They should simply say, I really love working here. We're saving lives. The favorite thing about company X is that I get to blank, right? So they can very sincerely, employees can very sincerely say why they enjoy their job and why they enjoy working at your brand. Whereas alumni are going to be talking about the quality of care they received, their perceptions of your service. You then need to realize that your partner engagement, and I say partner generally, this could mean families, referrals, sources, other treatment centers, your messaging needs to be unique to them as well, right? Hey, could you please write a review saying why you refer to us, right? It'll cover a totally different consumer perception, and then other partners might be more inclined to refer to you as a result. So this all happens on whatever device your consumer is on, right? And we're going to see this year between 60 and 70% of the engagement with your brand is through a mobile device, specifically a smartphone. And this actually opens you up to more opportunity. In healthcare as a broad sector, it is slightly less mobile than addiction treatment. A smartphone is actually the lifeline for every addict that even if they're completely cut off, their family will still pay for that and keep that phone on because it's their one way of reaching out to their loved one. So in this space, developing mobile apps, creating mobile tools for your program management, why isn't every one of your employees walking around holding an iPad, pulling up case charts, pulling up menus and activities for the day? Are you using accelerated mobile pages for search engine optimization? That will actually make your website load faster, and you can show off your technologies and show off your social rankings faster and higher in search results. You can use entry and exit interviews as a source of feedback, as a type of reputation management. What if 100% of your patients and clients leave happier than when they arrived? What if 100% of them tell you that they have a renewed hope and an increased outlook on their long-term sobriety? Those are emotions, but that is also what your consumers are shopping for. I want an increased probability of hope that I can stay sober, or that I can stay sober this time. So simple entry and exit interviews and sharing some of those statistics and comments that your patients might make, those can be profound. Those can be life-changing commentary. And you can market that through your website, through your marketing materials, to your partners. Outcomes data. A lot of this can be obtained from simple entry and exit interviews, but you can market it. And do not lie in this. It will backfire. So with your outcomes data, simply pick a statistic that makes sense, that people don't feel the need to challenge. Participant rates in alumni events, right? Hey, 60% of our alumni actually still come to our annual barbecue. Hey, 40% of our alumni talk on the phone at least once a month with somebody at our facility. That kind of information is what families will respond well to, and they'll actually proactively say on your social reviews, yes, my son does speak with someone at the facility once a month, and it has been a lifesaver. Imagine the power of some of that kind of consumer mentality benefiting you. Review management and replies. So there are actually technologies out there where you can proactively, you may be reluctant to simply email blast all of your alumni and say, give us reviews on Google, because what if half of them give you 1-star reviews and say that they hate you? Well, there are tools out there where you can create portals, and you say, hey, leave us a review, and any review that's 4 stars or 5 stars, that can just go live to your Facebook page, to your Google My Business page, and anything that's 3 stars or below goes into a case management file, and someone on your marketing team or admissions team or alumni team would reach out to that patient and say, hey, we saw you leave your review, we noticed it was only 1 star and you had some resentment in there. Do you need to come back? Is there anything we can do to help you? Do you need help finding a sponsor or a meeting? These review management tools can really, really change the game, because we see a lot of facilities get 1 bad review and it kills their entire average. On this picture to the right here, 2.9 stars out of 36 Google reviews. This is a very strong clinical program of a good-sized treatment center. One of our better clinical clients, and they're 2.9 stars, and the issue that they presented us with was, oh, we've only got 3 bad reviews. There are 3 1-star reviews and a whole bunch of 4- and 5-star reviews. But there's not a whole bunch. There's only 36 total, and it brings the average down so rapidly, so quickly to have 1-star reviews that this was not being properly managed. And the irony here is that this company has 50 to 60 ongoing referral partners that they informed us of, and they have over 100 employees. But they've only got 36 total reviews, and they're a 2.9-star clinical program so far as consumers are concerned. Would you go and stay in a hotel that was 2.9 stars, let alone a hospital or a detox center or addiction treatment center that's 2.9 stars? So you have to realize that this is how consumers think. They think like you. They're not going to stay in a 2.9-star hotel, and you're not going to be able to trick them. But you do need to get very sincere reviews from those who believe in you. Listing management. This is another technology that is not the easiest to use, but we see a lot of shady behavior in the space where people are stealing other treatment centers' profiles and changing their phone numbers and all of that. This is more about just having a proactive, ongoing effort to manage your own listings. And that goes from yellow pages through industry directories like Psychology Today and your own Google My Business profiles. These are all things that you need to manage proactively and defensively, because unfortunately, this is how shady operators will try to game the system. They will try to steal your identity. And another tactic here is the proactive creation of these accounts, right? Guess what? Job sites rank really high. Glassdoor.com, Indeed.com. So too little too late is what we often see in this space, that there was a death at a facility or a lawsuit. And these could be huge programs that treat thousands of people a year, and only 1 bad thing happened. But you have to realize that you're subject to that scenario happening. So my recommendation is to proactively create job boards, proactively create your Facebook page, seek out Google Plus reviews, really bolster this effort as a defensive measure. And then if something bad does happen, then the article that runs in your local paper isn't going to outrank your entire website. It might show up on page 2, your job post might show up ahead of it, and it's just a really strong defensive reputation management tactic. So let's talk about the technologies here, right? If I'm a customer, what could you have, what might you have that is truly unique? And I've toured nearly 1,000 treatment centers. I've been all over the country. I've seen what everybody's got. And it's been interesting to me to see where they have and haven't invested. There's a variety of technologies surrounding neurofeedback, brain scans, proving kind of a before and after that you are able to change the dopamine reactions and sensors in the brain with weeks or months of treatment. These same studies have been done at a government level. They've been confirmed to work. These are scientific methods. So as a consumer, if I'm reading about your treatment program or your methodologies and I see, wow, neurofeedback, I don't know what that is, but I think I want it, right? I know that the last place I went to didn't have that. That sounds like real medicine, not just an embracement of holistic acupuncture as my only option, right? That might be part of a larger system of care, but here's one option, applying these technologies that are readily available. And again, it sounds scientific. It sounds like something that you might experience in a hospital medical setting, not simply a retreat escape where you feel comfortable when you get out of Dodge for a month. Additional technologies, right? How do you control this consumer perception? So you're showing them, hey, we've got these advanced scientific methods that we use in our medicine, right? Well, you can actually apply technology in your therapies. At a few of these conferences around the country, I keep seeing biosound beds. They're very cool. It's just great, music playing, measuring response. It's very therapeutic, very therapeutic. And having these technologies as part of your therapy show the customer, hey, listen, if you come to my treatment program, we're going to be applying a holistic approach. We're going to be applying modern science. We're going to be applying technology in your treatment. Sure seems high-tech. Sure seems like the kind of treatment you might get from a Hopkins or a Mayo Clinic. But these things are not of any great cost. These are things that you can make as one-time investments, as tools. You're simply giving your team the tools they need to drive admissions, to tell a stronger story about the resources you have for recovery. And what else can you do right now, right? How else can you control this perception? In hospitals, even on hospital TV shows, they've got smart TVs, they've got all kinds of virtual reality and 3D scans and all this craziness. Simply having monitors and digital screens around your location with the lunch menu on it, or the activity menu on it, or a simple login for each patient where they can see their schedule for the day. These are very low-cost technologies to deploy, but the perception of the technology's use in your facility is off the charts. It gives an added level of comfort that everyone is looking at the same thing, that your clinical staff, your operational staff, your activity staff, that they're all aware of each patient's experience for the day. And again, it's this perception that you're marketing. You're trying to show the consumer, we've thought through how technology can best and most efficiently help you in your therapies. Just look at what we've deployed. A virtual reality tour. So someone that has never even seen your treatment center can put on a little headset, which are now readily available, and take a walking tour of your facility. So they won't feel lied to when they get there. There won't be a bait and switch scenario, which is a lot of this human trafficking, brokering stuff that the feds are cracking down on. That's been a problem, that someone is flown to Florida and they're not even told where they're going to be sent. This could actually solve that problem, right? Visually getting to see where they will be receiving treatment, where they'll be sleeping, where they'll be eating. The same way you might choose a major university, right? Mobile apps, mobile technology is another thing that could be deployed. These are one-off costs, kind of like building a website. You build it once, you use it for the next 5 years. You could have apps for your sales and outreach team that have a lot of photographs that maybe can have a contact form on it that somebody could fill out to verify their insurance. You could have a different mobile app for your operations team where they can pull up case files and it links to your EMR system. So think through how you might make these different resources for your different audiences. Transparency. So technology is one of the best ways to show who you are. All right. These virtual reality tours is a good example. These are inexpensive. They're typically anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000, or you put it on a hosted platform and it's a few $100s a month. This is what it would look like on a mobile phone. This is what it would look like on a headset. But you can actually look up, down, all around, and it follows you through the facility. And you can walk from point A to point B, and you can look at the main menu down to the right at any point in time, and it lets you choose where you are in the facility. This is as transparent as your marketing can get. There's no lie if you see the food you'll be eating, the bed you'll be sleeping in, and the people who will be treating you. So think about using technology to demonstrate your outcomes, but think about using technology simply to be transparent when a lot of your competitors are unwilling or unable to do so because their facilities are subpar and because their treatment staff may be a lot more limited than they let on. So it's a competitive advantage at the same time as a tool, as a technology tool. I want to talk a little bit more about mobile because this is a huge opportunity for the space. Mobile apps kind of became a trend 5 or 6 years ago. Everybody had a different idea for the next billion-dollar mobile app. What they are still is a native application for a captive audience. So you can build a dozen mobile apps, all branded for you, but they do different things. An example that a hospital might use, they might create a diabetic maintenance schedule app, right, where you're monitoring your diet and your highs and lows on sugar and insulin levels. And that's all just one part of one department of one hospital. They might have an exercise app as it relates to long-term cancer treatment, right? So you can create these tools for parents and families, right? How do they long-term go through their own treatment, their own therapy, to no longer be enablers, to no longer be providing toxic environments for their loved ones? Alumni. What tools can you give them that they can actually use, right? How to find a job, resume reviews, finding a meeting, getting a sponsor. I mean, those kinds of tools and resources can be paired well with a button that says, I really am feeling like using again. I need to talk to someone. So you can have that burning desire button on the alumni app. Mobile apps for telehealth. So there are secure, encrypted, HIPAA-compliant platforms that allow users to receive therapy, paid therapy, right? It's billable in many cases, through a Skype kind of platform. Skype itself is not compliant in that regard, but telehealth could be a mobile app that's branded for you. You could build a partners portal so that your referral partners can actually put in their own information and the medical information of their patient when they refer to you. It's a much more formal process. It is branded for them and for you, so you're cross-promoting. That is a powerful marketing tool. Management dashboards. What if your entire executive team, your entire clinical team, what if they're all using iPads or iPhones or whatever, and they're all looking at the same dashboard in real time, and you know your census levels, your payment levels, your caseloads, your employment ratios. That kind of tool can be extremely efficient internally, and it might be a one-time cost that adds ongoing value. It's also perceived technology when people are in your treatment program. They see executives in suits walking around holding iPads. They see nurses walking around holding iPads. Their tech, their supervisor, they're all holding iPads. It gets very interesting to see when this technology is applied, so long as it doesn't take away from personal levels of care, personal interaction. Simple things. Daily scheduling, food menus, activity boards. A lot of places I've toured have one display up in the lobby that has these things, but this could be in every single room of the building. These are one-off costs to throw a TV on every wall that could have long-term returns for you. So I do want everyone thinking about how technology can be applied through this rapidly growing mobile segment, because that's also the fastest growing source of reviews, right? Somebody feeling empowered on their smartphone just left your program. They're either going to say something profound right away on their phone, or they're going to say something really messed up right away on their phone. So you've got all this technology, now what? Is it working yet? You tell me, right? And in this scenario, I'm saying, no, seriously, your patients, they'll tell you, right, via social reviews and referrals, whether your technology did them any good, whether the other reviews they read before coming to you for treatment did any good, and they'll tell you very bluntly whether they liked it or not. Now, here's an example again. This is from the client I spoke of earlier, where 2.9 stars out of 36 reviews, but there are only really 3 bad ones. One of the bad ones is on my screen right now from a user called CH. Now, it's interesting because at the bottom of my screen, this schema that Google uses to show reviews says that this is a 5 out of 5 client on Facebook. This is a 4.3 out of 5-star client on rehabs.com. But on Google+, Google My Business, only 2.9 stars. Well, it turns out this review is completely false. When you look at this user profile, it doesn't appear to be a real person. They have only left 1 review ever on the internet, and this was it. And they didn't put their name, and they didn't put their Gmail address, and they don't name the facility. This could be a copy and paste message. So if there is fraud going on like this, how much more important is it that you proactively go out and get several hundred authentic reviews right now? And then you might have to wait. Even if you can get a review like this taken down, it's very difficult and it can take time. It's a whole lot better if you had 100 5-star reviews and somebody leaves a single fake 1-star review. It would have very little, if any, impact on you. Only a couple more slides here and we'll hand it over for questions, but the question is raised, and I'm sure several of you are thinking this, right? This isn't fair. What if all of these social reviews are lies? I've never seen a sincere review of my company. The better question is, what if they're not even real, right? Would you subject your business to that kind of risk? If you knew that there were all these hackers out there and haters and shady competitors just bringing down your averages and bringing down the perceived quality of care that you represent, would you take on that risk, or would you be willing to pay for insurance against it? And what I'm saying is that the insurance against it is simply labor. You need to procure a high volume of authentic, real, good reviews from people that would share them with you. Another consideration is that some of these reviews have legal consequence. If patients are named, that can be a HIPAA issue. If there is a lawsuit related to a bad review, that's actually an opportunity to get the review taken down and say, unfortunately, there's pending litigation, Google, and so we really need you to remove this review until the outcome of that case, right? So this combination, it is a sad reality, but it is a reality that defense and insurance are a heavy consideration in your digital presence, in your social presence, and these reviews. This is a key part of your marketing. It's a direct marketing channel that can be leveraged, but if you're not proactive about it, one hacker with one fake review from one shady treatment center can burn your brand to the ground. So the consideration in all this, right? We're trying to control the perception of a consumer, right? Just like a magician is trying to make you focus on one thing while something else is going on. You want your consumers and your potential patients to be focused on the technology because we know that's a critical decision variable for them, and your reputation because we know that that is a serious decision-making variable for them. So you can design your website, your user experience, for everyone to enter through the home page, but if you want them to then immediately interact with a virtual reality tour, with a live demo of your therapy machines or brain scans in action, these things can be featured front and center in all of your marketing, online, offline, it doesn't matter. You're able to actually funnel these real people towards a conclusion, towards a page or piece of information or media that you want them to view. And then you can track whether or not you're being successful in that. And what's on my screen is simply a user tree, a flow chart of how people are navigating through a website. This is from Google Analytics. This is free. The other part of perception that you need to control is how you're speaking to each audience. So if you're using call tracking, this is a little screenshot of call tracking metrics. You should be able to tell when somebody calls you, when someone engages with your brand, where they came from. Did they come in from social reviews? Did they come in from Facebook? because it is then safe for you to assume that they have already read through existing reviews, that they have already considered the technologies in play, and you can change your conversation because that's an educated consumer looking to make a quick decision. So considering that, right, how does your admissions team talk to people on the phone? How are you interacting with them? Realize that there are also platform providers here, technology providers like Google themselves, that are changing the rules. And these are two things that you can do quickly, right now. Google has deployed what's called AMP, Accelerated Mobile Pages. You need to have your web developers immediately deploy this. But what it does is on any slow mobile connections, anybody on 2G or 3G internet, which is still about 2/3 of the US, it creates a faster loading, mostly text version of your website, and it pairs out any large video or image files that might be unnecessary. So Google's own technology is saying, hey, you really need to do this to capture the most visitors. The second part of that is your own Google My Business profile. There's a lot of fraud and a lot of corruption going on right now in the space in addiction treatment where people are stealing or suggesting edits for other treatment centers' listings, and they're simply changing your phone number. And so your listing shows up in the Google search results. It's somebody else's phone number. And if you don't proactively monitor that, it is a feature that Google is fixing. It was meant for the greater good that if a pizza shop changed its phone number, users and consumers could keep that updated and relevant, but it can be used for evil as well. So unfortunately, that's changing, and that's something you need to monitor defensively. So, is too much tech blowing your mind? Am I throwing too much at you? It's all for marketing, right? It is all about consumer perception, consumer education, and letting them know that you have these tools to bring to bear to their advantage in your treatment program, right? Your reputation is the proof that these things aid them in their treatment. The conversation where you engage these users, where you're demonstrating your transparent tours and you're demonstrating your therapies that have real science and real technology behind them, these things drive admissions. These things make people much faster in the decision-making process. They can activate new target markets if you're going specifically after alumni, specifically after professional referral partners. By having those conversations, you're going to be able to activate larger audiences. And they can activate new channels. What if by posting on a lot of job boards, right, employment opportunities, what if the ranking of your entire website increases from the inbound links, and that drives more admissions for you? So SEO would become a more viable marketing channel for you. And then the goal here again is to diversify and reduce your risk. Reputation management is much less expensive, much less time consuming if it is done proactively instead of reactively. So before there is some horrible newspaper article about you, which over time is likely to happen in the industry that we all work in, you have to diversify, a lot of job posts, a lot of alumni resources, build some mobile apps. These things rank well in search results. So if you ever had a bad review or a bad article written about you or something, that would be on page 2 of Google. And the joke in the digital world is page 2 of search results is the best place to hide a dead body because no one ever goes there. So engaging in social reputation management and investing in new technologies, typically a one-off cost for a long-term return on investment, these can yield very high return on investment. AdWords is getting expensive. Typically these technologies stay the same price or are free, and this will keep you in a reasonable cost per admission range. So hopefully I've addressed each of these agenda points for y'all. The goal again was to find out why institutional healthcare brands are so well known and respected, even though large quantities of their patients don't even survive the treatment they go through at these places. Why aren't they struggling with the same reputation issues and online review issues that you are? Hopefully we've gone through and identified major trends in technology and reputation management that you can all use that are advantageous to the addiction treatment segment. And I hope that I've communicated clearly on some tactical applications, some things you can go and do now that are low cost or free that are advantageous to your operation, and that we've shared some ways to track these channels to have your team and your admissions groups talk to different audiences with great levels of targeting. And this should help you to increase faster decision-making, higher conversions, through demonstrating this technology is used in your treatment programs and the outcomes data that might result from it. So all said and done, I've got a link on the screen here for a minute before we go to questions. I will be in Nashville on June 19th and 20th for the Innovations in Behavioral Healthcare Conference. For those of you that can meet in person, I'd love to chat. And we have some resources on our website for you to download, some recent white papers we've written, as well as a link to the actual Google study I was referencing earlier that followed thousands of consumers through their shopping experience as they chose treatment providers. So thank you all very much for being here today. And with that, I turn it back over to the Behavioral Health Group.
All right, Dan, thanks so much for that presentation. We would like to remind everyone in the audience that you can use that Q&A area below the slides on your screen to submit a question at any time. So, Dan, early on you talked about the people who are online searching for treatment. And I know that in healthcare overall, women tend to do the searches more often than men. The wives and the moms tend to make the healthcare decisions. Does that seem to be true also for people who are looking for addiction treatment?
Interesting question, yes. So male versus female consumers. Going back about 8 years, we see between 60 and 65% of the searches are done by females. What is interesting is about 60 to 65% of admissions tend to be male. So yes, using those statistics, more women are performing the search, are looking for the information, for an audience that is mostly male actually getting into treatment.
Great. And you had used the Starbucks example when you were talking about brands. Do you find that individuals who are searching online for treatment, are they looking at all at brand names, and would a brand logo help at all, something that's more visual that can kind of connect the treatment center in a visual way to people searching?
It does, and creating logos for specific programs, it doesn't just have to be your treatment center's brand. You can create a women's track, a men's track, a young adult, young professionals, executive track. And each of those can have their own name, their own logo. It makes them more relatable. And again, the trend right now is not increased brand loyalty, it's decreased brand loyalty. So if someone sees that compelling, engaging brand and they've never encountered it before, they are likely to call, they are likely to engage because it relates to their consumer inquiry.
Great. And you talked a little bit about technology and some easy ways that technology can be incorporated. Are there any cautions about describing the technology you have and like what that technology is used for and what it can do?
Yes, I would advise caution in making medical claims about your technology. I would simply describe how you use it, right? We have neurofeedback and brain scanning technologies. There are several different versions with a whole bunch of different abbreviations. I don't think that you need to sugarcoat or make additional claims on what this technology does. You simply need to state that you use it and how it applies to your clinical treatment. So I would keep it simple would be my rule there with describing your technologies and the advantages it poses.
Okay, and would medical references help there for things that are established?
It would, as well as linking out to third-party studies. So you might say, hey, we use this technology. A national government SAMHSA study from 13 universities and the federal government showed this outcome, and so that is why we use it for the long-term treatment of dopamine sensors. It gives credibility. It lends to why you chose that specific technology, as opposed to saying, well, it was the cheapest of the three I looked at. That is not a very compelling marketing message.
Very true. You talked a lot about online reviews. Can you talk about how often should you be scanning the internet looking for these reviews?
I would highly advise that be done on a weekly basis. Someone in your marketing department, someone in your admissions team, an agency, a freelancer, someone needs to be doing that on a weekly basis, because if you let a bad review sit for a month, all of your replies, all of the follow-ups are dated and time-stamped on most platforms. So it will look like you waited until you thought of a clever answer. Whereas if you reply to these reviews right away, the likelihood that someone will manually take them back down is substantially higher. So weekly is my answer.
Okay. And you had also mentioned that there could be cases of litigation, or there could be cases where a patient's name is mentioned, and that could be a HIPAA violation, and there's a way to have those reviews taken down. Is that a particularly laborious or time-consuming process? Can you give us a few tips on how reviews are taken down when it's necessary?
Sure. So there are formal processes at Google, at Facebook, to have reviews taken down. They typically will not do it without a reason, right? They're protecting the consumers. People have the right to make anonymous reviews, which can be dangerous. In the case where there's litigation pending, so let's say that there was a death at your facility or a death after someone left your facility, and there's a family lawsuit involved with that, we have actually seen this happen before, where a family goes and has 6 or 7 different members go and leave horrific reviews, basically saying that your treatment center kills people, right? Unfortunately, all of those were related to an open legal case, and so when the client was able to submit that to Google and say, hey, listen, they name the person, they name the patient, which is a HIPAA violation, and there's a pending lawsuit related to this matter, please remove all 7 of these reviews. They did. So these third parties, these review sites, they're looking to be consumer advocates. They're not looking to cause trouble for businesses. So keep that in mind and realize that if there is a related issue or an ongoing issue from someone that left a review, you can address that through normal channels at Google and Facebook.
Okay, great. We also have a related question from someone in our audience. What is the best approach to handle online harassment, such as a Facebook post from a former client?
Be very careful and engaging. The best way is to ignore it and constantly monitor and remove those posts. But we have seen some very bad cases there. You can typically get a user blocked. You would go through the Facebook or Google complaint channels and request that they block a user, explain the harassment scenario. Feel free, my email's on the screen. Feel free to email me if you have a specific case that I can help with. But I would, again, say to be proactive. It's the best offense is a good defense.
All right, and that's very good advice. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for questions today, but I do want to thank Dan Kemp once again for an excellent presentation, and I would also like to thank our sponsor, Dreamscape, for making today's program possible. Finally, thank you to everyone in our audience for participating today. We do hope that you'll join us again in the future for another Behavioral Healthcare Executive webinar. This concludes today's presentation.